This week on episode number 79 of the Relaxed Mail, we're going to be talking about assumptions and why they do not serve you in any way possible. Hello and welcome to Relaxed Mail, a podcast that helps men change their relationship with themselves. I am your host, Brian, and I am a men's life and mindset coach who is here to help you understand that you don't have to suffer at your own expense. You can live your dream, and I encourage you to set, then pursue your goals. So join me as I change the mindset and attitudes of men so that they can be the leaders of their families and their destinies. Hey man, hello and welcome to Relaxed Mail. So assumptions and all that stuff, we're going to be talking about that today. But before we do, want to first off welcome all the new folks who have come in and started listening. And guys, we have gotten quite a few new listeners in and doing great in the up and to the right direction of the on the stats. Could always use some more. So if somewhere along this way, if you end up liking this show, please go out and share this episode with the people that you know, people who you think of when they who might be troubled by the terrible AssUMe. And if you come across somebody who you think would be served by listening to the Relaxed Mail, share it to them. Share it to them on Facebook and Instagram, and share it to all the different categories and channels that you normally visit. If you are new, thank you for giving me a chance on this episode. We're going to be talking about how we can help, how ways that you can actually live life on your terms and be able to live life to the fullest and be able to take life by the horns and be able to, at the end of the day, breathe as you as you may hear me do sometimes. We can breathe and relax and enjoy the fruits of our labor and enjoy the results of everything that we have been working ourselves to the bone for. Now, each week, I do like to answer a listener question. And if you ever happen to have a question that you would like to ask, feel free to go to relaxedmail.com/contact. And down at the bottom, you're going to see a contact form. You go ahead and fill out that form. It'll come to me. I'll be answering out any question that you have. If you're not going to have the ability to make it over to the website and you want to be able to just shoot a simple email out, we can do that too. You can send an email to Brian with a Y at relaxedmail.com, and I'll get it in my inbox and I'll answer it just the same. Now, if for whatever reason I don't have any questions that come into the inbox, then what I'll normally do is I'll jump over to Quora and I'll answer a question. That's where this week's question actually comes from. Now, the question of the week is brought to you by the Brotherhood of Men. Now, the Brotherhood of Men is a men's group that I have together that is designed to actually help men to understand how they can actually implement what is all told and explained here on the Relaxed Mail. You're able to find a means of getting some much needed accountability in your actions. So if you're saying that you're going to start making steps towards starting up your own show or your own podcast or start up your own business, or you're going to take steps to start talking to your wife more, whatever area of your life you're wanting to help with. If you don't do something like that, you're going to have to come and you're going to have to face the men in your group. The culture of the group is one that pushes you to want to become better, wants you to become stronger and more healthy, be able to support and build all four elements of the Relaxed Mail platform, where you'll be working on your body, your mind, your soul, and building that community. You're going to start developing these men in this group will start becoming your friends. They will start becoming your biggest cheerleaders. We are all getting better. We are all becoming a force to be reckoned with. We're becoming this movement. And with that movement, it helps to to help have other guys that are there so that you can actually voice what your concerns are, what's fears that you may have. That's what we do. We help each other. We in a way nurture what is lacking, and we become a stronger man because of it. If you're interested in becoming a member of the Brotherhood of Men, I ask you to go to relaxedmale.com/brotherhood and fill out the form. I'll get a hold of you and we'll get you on the path to becoming the man that lives his life on his terms and is able to, at the end of the day, relax and enjoy that life. So this week, with the question coming from Cora, it was asked, I suffer from anxiety and depression. Not debilitating because I keep my job and social life. I'm 32, have never left home. My parents are enablers and never push me out. What advice would you give someone like me? Now, there's a lot to unpack on here. And where to start? First off, he claims that he suffers from anxiety and depression. All right. But it's not debilitating because he keeps a job and actually has a social life. Now, the root of all of this problem is what he says in the second half of this question. I'm 32 and I have never left home. Okay. That's the biggest problem. Now, why has he never left home? Because of the last bit. My parents are enablers and never pushed me out. No, that's not the case at all, dude. This is not because your parents are enablers and never pushed you out, man. No, it's because you decided it was a lot better, a lot more comfortable to stay at the house and to sit there and live off of your mom and dad's hard work than to actually go out and face the lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and whatever else is actually out in the world, which is, when you come to find out, is nowhere near as bad as you actually fear it to be. Worst thing is that you have to try to pay a bill on time. If it's your HBO Max or your Hulu or whatever, I bet you dollars of donuts because you do actually have a job that you could probably actually pay your Hulu or HBO Max or whatever streaming service you're wanting to use. Bet you get that paid on time. You're not relying on mom and dad to pay for it. You're not relying on other people to take care of you. And that's the big problem with what's happening in this email. Now, the person who actually asked this question, I think they already know what the answer is, but they're looking for people to give them some different answers. But it's because, I suffer from anxiety and depression. Not debilitating. I can work. I have a social life, but I need someone to kick me in the crotch hard enough to make me want to leave home. And, I understand moving out. Now, well, for me, when it was time, when I turned 18, it was time for me to leave the house. I was wanting to leave the house. I had that adventure spirit in me where I wanted out. I was the rebellious teenager. I really got tired of being underneath my parents' house and having to live under their rules. I wanted to live under my own rules and to live life the way I wanted to. And it really just, life bites back. I'll tell you that for sure. Cause I spent, you don't live high on the hog when you're first getting out on life. And that's, I think, especially being 32, you ought to know this. But if you're 32 years old and you're still living at home, you have lost the ability to seriously have the skills that you need. So it's going to take a lot of work and you're going to feel like a super big moron. My daughter, when she was, before she moved out of the house, I'd made the comment because she had turned 18 and stuff that I want to know. So when you're looking at moving out and getting your own apartment and living your life, and she said she hadn't thought about it yet. And I was like, well, that's something you're going to need to start thinking about is finding a place to live and know where you're wanting to go. Meaning as this is something that definitely needs to rest on your head a lot harder than what apparently it was at that time. And so a couple 3 days passed by and I just happened to be at the house whenever there. And so it'd been like the following week. And she come down. She was just boo-hooing her eyes out, and she came to me crying, and she wanted to know why I didn't love her anymore, why I wanted to get rid of her and throw her out of the house. I was like, I had to go, call a time and go, whoa. I'm not kicking you out of the house. This is something that you have to do. You are a grown bird. Eagles, they build their nest out of thorns and then line it with everything with some soft feathers and stuff. So as the baby grows bigger and bigger and bigger, those thorns start to poke through, and it becomes more and more and more uncomfortable for that full grown chick to stay there in the nest. It has to finally decide, you know what? I'm tired of having these thorns in my poked in my butt every day. I need to leave. And so that's kicking it out. That's a very, very non-subtle hint. But I wanted my daughter to just start thinking about, hey, I need to start finding a place to live. I want to be on my own. And that's what I told her. And she was still, didn't like the idea, because she had this thought loop of, oh, he doesn't want me in the house anymore. He's kicking me out. And that was the very point of what this week's topic is. She was making assumptions as to what I was meaning by my questions. And yeah, like I said, it's scary to move out. And I told her that, yeah, it's going to be scary. And tried to kind of knock some of her loftier thoughts out of the air, because, it's not healthy to go there thinking that you're going to rent a $1,200 a month apartment on, a fee, a fresh out of high school kid's salary. And so it took a lot to get her to lower her expectations. And she left, and she had to come back. She stayed at the house where she did a stint out in the real world. And she came back because she had made some unwise decisions and had to come back, regroup, and get herself back on order. It wasn't any type of addiction or anything like that, if that's what you think. It was just, she had, decided it would go in the direction of letting a boy take care of her was the direction. And the boy finally was like, you know what? I don't need you, and kicked her out of the house, and she had no place to go. So I had to get her back so she could build up a set of storage of money and some savings so she could try again. And it took about almost a year and a half for her to finally get everything built back up so she could take another run at it. And so far she's been flying pretty good. But it's those first steps out. You often wind up in just the most crappiest apartment that you can find. Especially if you're you're living on your own. You're going to be in the crappiest part of town, the crappiest apartment, and apartments that maybe even make your mom and dad just a little bit nervous that you're actually staying there, because, they think, oh my gosh, it's going to be horrible here. And again, those are parents' assumptions. But all those feelings of anxiety can quickly turn into feelings of exhilaration as you start making these steps, as you start building your skills to be able to, get your bills paid. Yeah, you might really want to have cable so that you can watch football games and everything else when they come on. And most you can afford is getting just a window antenna, and you have to spend, $60. Oh my God, that's 7 meals there. You put, and you get an HD antenna that you stick into the window, and you watch television that way. That might be your first couple years where you're saving up so that you can, and building your skills up and your value up so that you can actually afford cable, or afford, internet, fast enough internet so that you can actually watch, television like Netflix and all the different streaming services. It takes time. And that's what a lot of us young, and even when I was young, I was like, oh yeah. And didn't really think that life would kick me as hard in the teeth as it did, where I was struggling to make sure that I was able to eat. And I called it, there's a period in my life that I call the starvation years. And it's not that I was homeless. No, I had an apartment. That's all I had. It was an apartment. I had a roof over my head, and I ate lettuce sandwiches and ramen noodle. And lettuce sandwiches was the steak, was the New York strip of my life. When I had enough to where I could actually buy a head of lettuce and some bread, boom, that was amazing. But, that was maybe once or twice a month. The other times it was, oh shoot, there goes, however much, is like $600 something on dollars, if I remember right, for the apartment. And then there was the money that was needed for electricity. And when we also we didn't have cell phones. We had a phone line. This is back in 1994. Yeah, 1994. Holy crap. Yeah, it was 1994. It's scary, though. And I can understand where the anxiety comes from. But I really honestly wonder if the person who asked the question, if they're suffering from anxiety and depression because they're living with their parents, they're being too comfortable. And that's probably where most of that anxiety and depression comes from, is the fact that that person is not stretching themselves, not taking their life and living it to the fullest. They're being comfortable. They're staying with mommy and daddy. And that's not going to cut the matter at all. That's not helping them. That's not helping their state of mind. That's not helping and serving them in any way possible. So, and I hope that you guys, whenever your kids turn 18 and maybe they're still in school, they may start, but as soon as they're 18 and they're out of high school, they graduate from high school, that you have had that conversation with them of, hey, so what are you going to be doing with your life now? Where are you going to be living? Oh, well, in the fall, I'm going to go to college. Okay, sweet. You've got here until it's time to go to college. Go to college. Boom. We'll get you moved up there. We'll take all your stuff, put it in storage, and move them out of the house. It's a scary time to be thought of. We have to move out of the house, but it's something that kids need. If kids don't want to go to college, be okay with that too. And just say, all right, well, we need to devise a plan. When are you going to be moving out of the house? Is it going to be 6 months down the road? Is it, I was really thinking of leaving. It's like, well, no, you need to start thinking of leaving. You need to start thinking of getting out of the house and living your life on your terms, the way you want to live, not according to how I want you to live. And yeah, like I said, it's a scary thing, but you can do it. And I recommend everybody do that. They get themselves out living on. If this is you, if you are still living at home with your parents, dude, get a hold of me, Brian with a Y at relaxedmale.com. Let me know that you're still living with your parents at past the age of 18, 19. Maybe you're still in school and you're just finishing up school and you're 19. Okay. But if you've been out of school for a year and you're still living with your parents, whether you're going to college or not, doesn't matter. Call, shoot me an email. I will talk to you. I want to see you grow up, be the man you need to be, and get your butt out of the house and start living your own life and not living with mommy and daddy. Because, dude, if you're wondering why the chicks aren't coming to you, knocking on your door, that's probably one of the big ones. Is why? It's because you're staying at mom and dad's house. Nothing kills a woman's sex drive faster than, hey, I'm living over my place is, the basement of mom and dad's house. They hear that and they go, no, this dude can't even take care of himself. My gosh, how's he going to take care of me too? So guys, get out of the house. If you're still living with your mom and dad, unless you're in your 50s or so and your mom is an elderly mom and she is living with you, or she asked you to move into her house and take care of her in her elderly years, okay, that's the only time little boys go back to their mom's house, is when they are taking care of an elderly mom as she gets on in years. That is the only time. Any other time, mom is fully capable of doing things on her own. You need to be with having a family, having a wife, and living in your own house, wherever it is you want to live. All right. So now with that, let's go over to the main topic. Now, main topic this week is assumptions. And you heard me talk about a couple of different assumptions that we have that can hold us back, cause us problems. Parents assuming that living in a bad neighborhood is going to, cause their kids to be either dead in the gutter or, hooked on drugs or whatever fear. We're going to get mugged, 3 times a day. We have all these weird assumptions, and we assume that that's what's going to happen. And because we fear that type of stuff, and we have those assumptions build on fears, and those fears then cause us to make really bad decisions about okay, Junior, let's look, you just stay here at the house until you make enough money to be able to live on your own. Well, you're not helping him. You're not causing him to struggle. Struggle is good in a person's life. We assume so many different times. We've heard the phrase, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. You assume that your son cannot make it on his own, cannot survive living outside of your own house. So you just made your son look like an ass, and you now look like an ass because of that. And because of you're doing it. Yeah, you're trying to protect him, but no, you're not doing him any favors. Assumptions are just ways of us trying to look for patterns. They're not facts. They're not real. They're not anything that is, they don't serve anybody. There's a reason why we've all had that experience, where you saw, and it usually was either when you were young and you met up with you stepped into a first time you were able to be of drinking age, and you go, hey, I've always wanted to check out this bar. You walk in the bar and it is nothing but a bunch of bikers. It's a big old biker bar, and there's every burly man there. You go in there and you're like, oh crap, I can't just turn around. You just swallow your heart back down into your chest, and you walk up to the bar and you order a beer or whatever. And then you start talking with the burly biker dudes that are all around you. And you come to find out, one's an accountant, one's a lawyer, got maybe even a couple of doctors in there, and they're all just normal men. They're just normal guys. A lot of them might be in construction and things like that, but they're all just normal guys and enjoying life. And they like to ride bikes. And so when riding bikes, it's kind of a good idea to have, assless chaps but actually wear pants underneath them, things like that. And you got your vests or biker jacket on. Those are actually have functions. And because you didn't realize it, you were just sitting there, seeing these guys covered head to toe in leather that, they're a bunch of mean guys, or they're easier to hide, bulletproof. I don't know what we thought. I had the experience where I had a bunch of bikers actually coming into a museum that I was security for back in like 93. And I was like, oh no, I knew they were going to cause some type of problem. Just knew it. I assumed that these guys are up to no, and they were just some of the most pleasant, happiest, fun-loving guys. I mean, they laughed. They caused everybody else to laugh. They were having a good time. They were enjoying the museum, and they were just great folks. And it just surprised the heck out of me. And that's where I realized that, you can't judge a book by its cover, though I still sadly do. And you've seen people, you saw, a lot of times, guys, when it comes to, you see a good looking gal, you may assume that she's already taken. And a lot of times that's not actually the fact. They say that a lot of the good looking women out there, they have trouble finding guys to take them out on dates because all the guys just kind of sit around and go, oh, she's taken. She's too high. She's too much for me. She's too high maintenance. We all have these weird assumptions about these beautiful women that come to find out, if you were to actually just take the time to go up to her and say, hi, how you doing? And not do it in a sleazy pickup artist way, you might actually accidentally find out that there's a really good looking woman who finds you really interesting, and she would like to go on a hike down to the canyon sometime. There's things you can do there. All you have to do is get past what your assumption is, and poof, while you were able to, you're in a completely different world. Assumptions cause you to play life small because it's going off of complete and total lies that you're telling yourself. There's not an ounce of fact in what you see or what you're thinking. Now, there are times where, you may be making an assumption of, well, I can't let my son do that. What if he gets into a wreck? Well, or you have that, that deep gut feeling. There's intuition, and intuition's a completely different critter. And I may dive into talking about intuition somewhere down the road. But and you can tell when you're doing this, when you're making assumptions, you're going to find yourself eating crow more times than not. A lot of my son's friends, whenever he was growing up, he had a few friends who I liked. They were good kids, or at least they struck me as good kids. There were some that I thought were really great kids, and come to find out, no, they've wound up in jail because they've done stupid. And some of the ones who I thought were just horrible kids and their parents didn't watch after them and on all that, I made the assumption, they turned out to be kind of pretty much all right kids out of out of it all. There's the one who just he was just I heard his name and I just cringe, and come to find out this kid now is just one of the most stand-up boys I've ever come across, and just an amazing young man. He is busting his butt in about 80 different ways. And maybe it was that, his life was not going right, and he decided, you know what, I'm not living my life like this, and wanted to change, and made the change, and intentionally made changes so that he could become more successful. But then again, who knows? But either way, my assumptions of who he was completely wrong. My assumptions of most of people wind up being wrong. There's a couple that I have had a very good intuition on, and I didn't know what he was going to do, what the person was going to do. But, there's that, I have a hard time wanting to trust this person. And like I said, that intuition is the problem. Now, when it comes to assumptions, there's a lot of different issues that pile in when you start playing with assumptions. The first one is you avoid all responsibility for the actions. Whether it be, well, I thought you were going to go deliver the mail, or I thought you were going to go pick up the kids. Well, no, you may have thought that, but that's not the case. And you're trying to pass the buck off onto your wife or your spouse or whoever by going, oh, well, I thought you were. No, you should have owned it. No, I didn't. Misunderstood. You're not owning your dirt. So you're trying to pass the buck to anybody who the buck may stick to. So it doesn't serve you in any way. When you avoid the responsibility and you try to assume, I assumed he was taken. I assumed that, the McKittrick report was going to be filled out and completed in a couple days. And I assumed that John had it. All the assumptions they're just thoughts. Like I said, they're us looking for patterns, and they're not based at all on any facts. They are based upon an observation, whether it be sight-oriented observation or auditory observation. We've thought of, we just have it's just a particular thought. It keeps us from connecting and getting to know people because, again, we assume the big burly biker dudes are going to whip out a knife and kill us. We assume that, the gay men are going to turn us gay. They're turning the frogs gay, as Alex Jones says. But if you take time and you get to know people, you find out that your assumptions of them are 99.999% wrong. And they don't help us. Like I said, they prevent us from being able to connect with people, prevent us from being able to get to know people better. And like when you're meeting somebody new and you instantly think that they are not good for anybody, somebody, or whatever. You didn't give the person a chance, and you didn't give them a chance because you instantly had an assumption about them, and you kept them at arm's length that whole time. So if you want to know about if a thought is an assumption, some things that you can actually do. I was looking around and came across a site called Harley Therapy. It's out of the UK, and they had some interesting questions that you could actually ask yourself when it comes to questioning an assumption. The first one is, what facts do I have to prove this thought is true? And you have to be honest with yourself. You can't just, well, I've seen it before. No, you haven't seen it before. You haven't seen this person before. You have to be able to prove and use actual proof. Those actual circumstances of that person is who you want to look at, not what you believe to be the truth. Because a lot of times we want to take emotions and wrap up into that truth. And when we do that, those are thoughts. We have thoughts about people. Those thoughts are wrong. We want to make sure that we have facts. Facts are points that can be proven in a court of law. I have a silver Jeep Cherokee. All right. It's not that I have a beautiful silver Jeep Cherokee. See the difference. One's a thought. One is the facts. Now, once you've decided what the facts are that prove that this is true, talk about what facts do you have that prove that thought isn't true. So that way you're taking and you're looking at both sides of that coin. What is a more realistic in the middle way of seeing this? You can actually say, okay, so I know he's not packing a minigun underneath his vest. All right. He doesn't have one stored in the side bag of his motorcycle. So I can tell you he's probably not a killer. And so he's probably just a guy who likes riding motorcycles. If you can sit down and actually whittle out the BS and become more realistic as to what you might find that you're actually closer to the truth when you hop into the middle. Now, is this really your own opinion, or are you listening to the thoughts and from that you picked up from other people? Now, that's a good one to always ask yourself is this thought that I'm having actually mine, or is this a thought that I had because this is what my parents always said? That's actually where a lot of our thoughts and beliefs actually come from, is from our parents. Parents have a set of beliefs, and they instill those beliefs into us. And so we often have what we believe to be our own thoughts, or actually not our thoughts at all, not our experiences at all, but they're actually something that were taught by people and didn't ever bother to question it, because, we're 5, 6, 7, 8, 13 years old, and we were mom and dad, whether we were listening to them at 13 or not, their thoughts and ideas and beliefs are actually planted in our psyche. Now, is that good, bad? No, it's not bad at all. It's not the best. I mean, it would be better if us parents were to step back and let kids develop their own opinions of stuff. And I think parents are starting to kind of lean that direction. I really wish I had done more of that myself, but it doesn't happen. So we have to sit down and start questioning, hey, is this really how we think it needs to be? Another thing you can actually ask is this even really what I think or what I want in the future? Again, this becomes really important when you are coming out of being a people pleaser. Is this what I really think, or is this what, Sally over at the next door apartment really thinks? You could also start looking at what would life be like if the opposite of this assumption was true. what if this assumption doesn't exist at all in my life? Who would I be then? And that really starts, that can actually cause a lot of, esoteric, not esoteric. What's that old, I'm trying to use a $5 word and I've only got a $50, 50-cent vocabulary. So anyhow, it could be a real, soul shaker. But anyhow, assumptions can lead to a lot of misjudgments, and those questions there can actually help. Now, to help you out and to help you kind of see where we all throw assumptions at, there are some common assumptions that us men make that can really change how, if we were to get rid of these, change how we actually live life. One is that thinking that being wrong about something is failing. And no, it's not wrong to you can be wrong and you can actually be, you can actually get better because you have decided that, because you were wrong. You may have been on the completely wrong path and you find that out. You were on the wrong, keyword wrong path. And so you're finding that your area of where you need to be is you learn that by failure. So to be wrong is actually growing. Being wrong is actually helpful to you. It's good to be wrong. It's better to seek out the facts of proving yourself wrong than to be going out trying to find a whole bunch of people who just constantly tell you you're always right. Life is not about you. That's another problem that a lot of guys and honestly a lot of women have. It's not about you. It's not always about you. You're not the center of the universe. The moment you can realize that and change how you view stuff, you can actually start growing even more. Once you start trying to serve the people around you instead of trying to get them to serve your needs, you start serving their needs. All of a sudden, you start seeing people's hearts open up. You start seeing friendships blossom, and you start becoming more enriched, both financially and spiritually. And it's a great thing when you actually start serving people instead of waiting for them to serve you. You have to be available all the time. This is one here is one of those assumptions that causes men to burn out and burn out so badly that sadly they kill themselves. You don't have to be available all the time. It's actually better if you set the boundaries of, hey, I am available between 6 in the morning and 7 at night. Anything other than that? No. And that only applies to, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Any other day you try to get a hold of me, I may not answer. You set times when you're not going to be available and stick to those. You're going to have people want to push against that. Hey, I've got this rule. I've got this project that's got to be done. We're running late. Can you just do it real quick for me? I was like, dude, no, sorry, I can't. It's not Tuesday. It's not Wednesday, nor is it Thursday. We're not doing that. Have time when you were not available. Even God had to take a break after creating the universe. Busy and productive are the same thing. That's one of the big assumptions that a lot of people have. I was busy, man. I'm all sorts of busy. Well, okay. Well, busy is one thing, but did you produce anything? No. Busy and productive, two separate critters. You want to be productive. You don't want to be busy. Busy just is you running around looking like you're doing something important. That's what you do for your boss to try to fool your boss to have him think that you're doing stuff. When in all reality, we know that you were standing around at the water cooler talking about the football game 2 nights ago for the 3rd time. Your emotions are created by outside events. This is one of those big assumptions. Oh, well, I can't make her happy. Well, guess what? You're right. You can't make her happy. She can't make you happy. That guy did not piss you off. That guy did something that caused a thought, and that thought's what pissed you off. Your thought, you pissed yourself off. You are the one who feels down in the dumps. You're the one who is happy because you see your daughter is dressed in all white walking down the aisle. You feel the love for your wife. Your wife's actions don't cause you to feel love. Nothing outside of your mind creates an emotion. But yet we always have, you always see people say, well, they made me happy. They make me so happy. Man, these are people passing that responsibility. As I said before, that is where you dodge. Assuming is avoiding the responsibility for an action. Another one is you can do it by yourself. Now, again, the guys grow more when they have a band of brothers together, like the Brotherhood of Men. You can grow a hell of a lot faster and a hell of a lot quicker, and you can take a lot more of the little shortcuts in life by understanding when to take those shortcuts. And the groups like the Brotherhood of Men can help you understand, hey, this is a time we need to make a change. This is time we need to make a shift. And because of that, when you start doing that, you can actually become stronger. You develop better friends, and you stop becoming a victim, thinking that everybody else has your power. And in reality, that power was controlled by you the whole time. So, guys, with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you go. Thank you again for listening. If there was anything mentioned in here that you thought needed to be heard by your cousin, your best friend, someone else in the office with you, share that to them. Just all of our podcast apps these days have some type of share button. Click that share button. Send it as a text message. Hey, dude, this caused me to think of you. I think you would benefit from hearing this. And send it to them. Or just, hey, man, there's this podcast show out there that I think all us men need to start listening to, and share that with them. Share that in your all the groups that you're a part of, whether that's on Facebook, Instagram, D-Buzz, any of the other social media apps out there. I found a new one out there a couple days ago called Sapien. Looks really interesting. Again, it's a blockchain. It's a Web 3.0 social media app. So I don't know how well it's going to work, but it might. But anyhow, as you share this out, tell people about it, help them to understand what the Relaxed Male is about and how it can help them. And the best way to do that is to bring them out, point them over towards relaxedmale.com, point them towards the podcast, and help them to, let's see if we could help this little merry band of men grow to become the movement to fight for masculinity and for men living their life on their terms, and not on the terms of what's some news head on the television things, because they don't know diddly squat. So guys, with that, I thank you for listening. Rate, review the show on whatever app it is you have. If you need one, go to Podchaser or relaxedmale.com/Podchaser, and there's a place that I would love to have more reviews. So that, guys, y'all take care. Love you lots. Bye.